Hello and welcome everyone to this week's Collective Imagination Gathering. We've got Barbara over there in New York.
Hello.
And we've got our awesome studio audience live here in the Zoom room with us. Thank you to everybody. Lots of familiar names in there, of course. So last week, Barbara, we played initially the week before with the idea of frying CPUs, but ended up choosing a more personal experience of sort of eliminating the illusion in our own lives. And just prior to press and record here, you said you had quite the experience during the week. So
I did. It actually started right away after the meditation, but I just wanted to hang on to it until now. I think you even said, do you hear anything? But I'm not sure if you were talking to me. During the meditation, I actually started to feel wobbly, like when you're on a boat and it's moving with the water, but a big boat, not like it's, just a nice, gentle back and forth of it. It was like that, and I kept feeling off center, like I am trying to compensate because the floor seems to be moving or something. So I was feeling that during the meditative part. Afterwards, for probably a good hour, I didn't have to lay down, but I laid down only because it was easier. My head was just ringing with this really loud tone. It wasn't hurting me or anything. It just was a really loud one. And I pay a lot of attention to those now because I'm trying to see if I can identify the frequency or the tonnage, so that if something happens and I can connect it to that, if I hear that sound again, I'm going to see if I can find a relationship kind of thing. So I was really focused on it, but it was just so loud. And the funny thing is, though, that if somebody would talk, like if my son came in or something like that, it didn't sound like it was really loud then. It only sounded beating loud when it was completely silent. But the minute somebody talked, it was as if, it was like really soft, almost like a whisper. And I had a dream on Sunday that I also thought was related, because these feelings of imbalance have continued. And I've heard other tones. I've actually heard a couple of times multiple tones that are loud at the same time. So it's not just one, it's a couple. And what I like about that is it makes me feel like I'm having the ability to tune into multiple frequencies simultaneously, so that I'm able to connect with different people who are at these different frequencies at the same time, instead of just being stuck at one. Because maybe if I can do two, maybe I can do infinite. But that dream was really interesting. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about it, but the important part, which is I had it off and on all night, and I kept rolling over and just waking up just enough to know I was half awake and half asleep, smiling, knowing in that moment the answer to everything. And I'm in my head, I'm saying, I know the answer to everything at this moment. I know the answer to everything. And I'm never going to remember this when I wake up, and that's okay. And I kept saying the same thing to myself, because I'd roll back over, sleep, then an hour or so later, I'd wake up and I'd be having the same dream, and I knew the answer to everything. And I remembered I wasn't going to remember, and that was going to be okay. And then I even said to myself something like, well, just remember how good it felt and how you knew everything was going to be okay. So when I eventually did wake up, for only a millisecond did I remember everything and know the answers to everything, and then it was gone. But I did remember what I told myself, which is, how really good it felt when in that feeling of knowing it all. You're muted.
So it wasn't 42 then?
42?
Sorry.
What's 42?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer to everything. The answer to the
I can't hear you.
Is
somebody said they can't hear us.
You can't hear us?
Can you hear me? or just Lisa?
Camilla,
Oh, whoever that was, I guess they muted themselves
it was
again.
Camilla, yeah.
Oh, just Lisa. Okay. Oh, I guess I didn't, I'll look for a 42. How do I know? Maybe there was a 42 and I didn't see it then. But what I liked about it was just the knowing. And it was part of that breaking of the personal matrix. I feel like I am existing in the same place, but it isn't exactly the same as before. And I've felt this a number of times over the last 6 months or so, that there are these points where I just feel like I'm cracking a level, and I'm seeing past it now, seeing past that one. And it doesn't feel like mind-blowing or, oh my God, it just is like, eating a piece of toast any morning. You eat the piece of toast and it doesn't feel any different, but you know that you had cereal the day before it. It is different. Do you know what I mean? It's the same, but it's like so different. So something happened for me, and I was really curious if something happened for others. Did they hear any tones? Did they feel like, that the floor underneath them was off balance and they were trying to compensate for it? Did they have any, feelings of complete knowing, anything like that?
Well, you guys can share in the chat room if you've got something to add at this point, and we'll see how we go. But that experience of being kind of that, when you're doing those cleansings and clearings, I've associated with literally pulling out of the energies that are interferences. It's like they're getting pulled out, and it can physically move you, right?
Oh.
Yes. The short answer is yes. There was both internal and external, because the intention for last week was to clear ourselves of the illusion of the matrix, right? So what I found for myself doing on one occasion, a couple of days later, was I was just scrolling through Facebook and I was seeing all the crap. It was just one of those days where it's nothing but bad news and bullshit, and I was looking at it all, and at first I was like, oh, what is wrong with this world? And there was just this shift, and it was like, it's not real. Remember, it's just the illusion. And I was able to it happened spontaneously, but it was almost as if energetically I just took a step back, and it was all there, and I was disconnected from it in a really cool way, not in a discompassionate way, but it just in a seeing it for what it is. It's just the matrix playing it. Then the 2 days later, I caught up with Jed, who we talked to yesterday on the One People show, and got his story. And that for me was, the whole time we were talking, it was in the back of my head, kind of like, here's the reality you wanted to see. Remember? And the tones, again, I hadn't heard them for a few weeks or noticed them for a few weeks. But the last, say, 4 days, big time, and noticing the layers. And we can go into what Jed had to say about the layers if you want, because you just mentioned it as well, that you're hearing different layers.
Yeah, I would like to do that. Plus, have that then lead into the community thing.
So, if you were with us yesterday, we were joined by a friend of mine from Australia here, Jed, that I finally got a chance to meet up with in person on this recent trip. And he shared a recent experience of his, and which was extraordinary. And in that, he talked about the tones that we're hearing, these high-pitched tones. And his interpretation, or his knowing about this, is that we are starting to tune in and hear the Schumann resonance. That's one level of it. But if you really tune into it and you really try and go into it, you can hear that there's layers of frequencies. That on top of that Schumann resonance, there is actually a new signal, is a good word for it, that the earth is actually putting out and pulsing out. And then there is another layer, which is a response. And if you, sometimes we've talked about the woo, 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 woo thing. What I found is if you tune into that, it does sound more, because even Jed used the word Morse code, and I think Dee used the word pulses. And you can hear there is a to and fro. It is kind of Morse codey. But that's his interpretation of what we're hearing. The Schumann resonance, the call out that's coming from the planet, and the response that's coming from out there. And he suggested, and I've tried a few times, and it's not actually that easy, but to really just tune into it and really go into these sounds. Stuff does start to happen, and maybe that's not why it's not easy, because you start to get a little bit distracted by what it leads to. But there's something, I don't know, there's something really profound there for me at the moment, and I'm exploring that. So that was my experience as a result of last week. Like whales talking back and forth, said Camilla. Yeah, like, so, is it sonic or sonar kind of?
Yeah, sonar, I think they say.
So, all the audience from yesterday's show carried on and had another call amongst themselves, which is awesome. And probably went on for hours.
That was a good show yesterday.
Went in all kinds of places, including the community that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Which kind of happened spontaneously. I mean, I had no idea we were going to get calls about community when I started talking about community. And then, of course, we had people calling in that were sharing the work that they're doing. 10 and a half hours the call went for last night after the show.
Wow.
My God, you guys are warriors. How do you do it?
Wow.
For some reason, people are still having a hard time hearing me, but your volume is perfect. I don't know why, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it at this point. Spiritual badasses, yes, you are. Well done. So there is some incredible work all over the world, as we know, in the realm of community and collaboration and connection that's happening virtually and in physical. And Diane's not getting any audio.
I can hear you fine.
Diane, leave the room and come back in. Try again. And make sure you click on computer audio when it asks you if that's the problem. But you've also got a project coming up, which is, again, a twist on connection and community and
well, when I was listening to the show yesterday and I realized the similarities between what I was doing in the community that he was talking about, it was a pleasant surprise, but it was unexpected because he was talking about literally communities where you stop in different towns and you get together with people in that town, and then, you share all your little secrets and stuff like that or whatever. And then, some people move on to the next community and the next community and the next community and the next community. And I liked that, but then I was realizing, well, it's interesting how you can define a community as many different things, because this train trip that I'm doing is the same concept. It's just, on steroids, taken in a completely
Welcome to
different
Zoom
direction.
Education. Today I'm going to be showing you how to access your video and audio settings within Zoom.
Great. Because, for example, anybody can get on anywhere along this train. It's 3 days there, 3 days back, so it's 6 days on the train, and then I'm staying in the San Francisco area for another 3 days. I'm actually going to try to use a service called Couchsurfing. Sheila told me about it, and Jerry reminded me to consider it, where you can find people in certain areas who, have a couch for you to stay on for a night or two. And I thought that would be a lot more fun. So I'm going to actually, really focus on that more than trying to stay someplace traditionally. But anyway, the point is, so people get on wherever they don't necessarily get on the same place as me. We found a way to get together in a really obscure way, and we're, from all over the country. But yet, for that moment in time, we're all in the same place, sharing the same thoughts in the same communal way, in a fun and different way that will, that we will always remember. And then we go our separate ways again. But, then you come together, I'm going to do another one and another one. And I just thought how interesting. It's really the same thing, just, just laid out completely differently as far as the format. You know what I mean? And I'm finding that.
I love it as a concept. I think it's brilliant.
Well, and I've just seen that people are all over the place beginning to get together in community settings, but in their own, by their own definition, not necessarily a community where people live and eat and sleep and, grow their food. Well, maybe some of them are, but, there are lots and lots of different communities. The community can be whatever you want it to be. You don't have to define it. There are no limits, absent limits.
Absent limits, yep. One people, absent limits. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole point of getting everybody together on a train is so that a bunch of like-minded people can sit around and talk about woo. How fun is that?
So at this point, you're only just booking your own seat, and people will book seats and probably end up all over the train. So is there going to be a way that you guys, or a space for you guys to all come together?
Yeah, every train has cars that are like, they have the dining car. They have a car that just has a bunch of tables where you can sit with your computers. It kind of looks like booths, they've got one that's it's for all of the seats face the window so that you can view out. So yeah, they've got different cars that are specifically set up for communal activities. Well, I want to be respectful though, because I have not gone through the train service to do anything kind of official. So anytime I'm going to do anything that's more one-on-one, for example, Carmel's going to make herself available to do numerology readings for people while we're on the train. And she's going to do it at a really great rate just for the people on the train that day. So, there's going to be a place for us to be able to go and stay there and do that kind of offline, because I don't want to all of a sudden have the train people think that, I'm, confiscating all the passengers and try and, sell them salt water or something, whatever, the snake oil or whatever. But yeah, everybody's really just coming together on their own. I don't want to be responsible for collecting any kinds of monies. But the event itself is actually going to generate some income. I'm just going to, this is for me to test that out and see what works the best. What do people want? I have 1,000 things that I've done for people in a kind of a more spiritual consulting capacity. Everything from helping them do deliberate attraction statements to, analyze images that they see in photographs, to how to connect. I mean, I love to teach people how to literally connect to that spot where I found I'm able to manifest. So, teach people to connect so they can manifest and try to manifest.
Who froze?
right there on the train, so we get some real evidence. Because my life is so synchronistic, but I'll keep going and listen. You know, I see that I've been disconnected.
You're back.
But
wasn't sure if it was you or me, but you froze for a second.
yeah, it told me that I was a little unstable.
How dare
it? What was the other thing that I was saying? Oh, I love to teach people how to connect. So I would love to be able to have people be able to walk away and literally know how to manifest. And sometimes, I mean, I have, we'll call it a formula. It's so easy. It's ridiculous. Sometimes you just have to sit and watch somebody do it a few times. But the whole idea is just to get people together in a really unique and different environment where we can talk about these unusual and unique things that we all experience and figure out a way to do this on a regular basis. And each one is going to be, well, they're called the translation tours. That was Carm's idea. And each one will focus on translating a different thing. This time we're going to unravel how to create your own reality. And the next time we might just be doing time translations with Carmel doing her numerology stuff. Who knows? But again, it's a community, and I never thought of it that way until I was listening yesterday. It's just a different kind of way that people who like to, who consider themselves sovereign, who like to pursue alternative ways of exchanging favors or exchanging things in order to, you know, get what you need to survive in this life. It's a great way for us to get together and just, you know, shoot the breeze. Because, I mean, life is magical. Why not go on a train across the country with a bunch of people and enjoy that environment to do that kind of talking? I just think that's like I guess, why not? That's my whole thing. Why not? And there's no answer to that. So then the only thing to do is march on and do it.
I think it's great. So,
I did have another question for you.
Okay,
go ahead.
Before you get to it, I just want to know, how can people find out more? Like, I know you did up an awesome poster. Where?
Oh, I actually haven't launched anything yet. It'll be in the next day or two. I'll put it up on my Facebook page and the Cool Coincidence Cafe Facebook page. Maybe the Collective Imagination. I'm not sure it would be so appropriate for there.
No,
and then people can share it from there. But it's March 31st. I leave Penn Station. And then if you see where it travels, surely people are along the route somewhere. But there are two trains. One of them is the Lakeshore Limited, and it just travels along the water's edge the whole way from New York to Chicago. And then from Chicago, you get on the Zephyr, and the Zephyr takes you all the way to San Francisco. So it's just two trains, but two gorgeous trains with nothing but scenic routes. And 3 days to get crazy.
Yeah? It's affordable.
Oh my gosh, it is affordable. If you book, the earlier you book, the better the rates are. Now, I did watch, the reason I picked leaving March 31st and coming back, I'll arrive back in Penn Station on April 8th, is that was the best rate I wanted to get a room. And the reason I want to get a room is I literally do feel there are going to be moments where I would be impinging on the liberty of all the other passengers if I didn't have a place to take people when they wanted to talk or do certain things. So I just think that we have to have that space. But I noticed that the prices begin to go up then, so they must also be seasonal. But if you book at least 2 weeks in advance, you get amazing deals. And I was noticing that right now, just the Zephyr from Chicago to San Francisco is like $212. So, I mean, some people aren't going to want to get on in Penn Station. They may just get on in Chicago and go to San Francisco and then fly back, or, you know, rent a car and drive back, or go see the relatives that they haven't seen for 10 years or something, you know, who knows. But so it is extremely affordable way to do something like this. If you just got a seat, and the seats, I rode a seat all the way to Southern Arizona for, I think it was 3.5 days. And I didn't have a room, I just had a seat, and it was actually quite comfortable. You just, after a couple of days, you do kind of want to turn a little bit more than you have room for. So hopefully I can cozy up to your neighbor. But you can go there if you went with me from Penn Station all the way to San Francisco, and then San Francisco all the way back. I think it was like $435 the whole ride on a seat. And I mean, even though that sounds like a lot of money, it's not a lot of money to be on a train with a bunch of people for 6 whole days. That's freaking amazing. But I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, I already got my ticket. I'm going to be looking for people to help, reimburse me literally because I spent every penny buying the ticket because I believe this. This is one of those knowings where I know that I'm supposed to be doing this, so I'm just doing it. I took the leap of faith. So I'm already going. I'm going no matter what. And if one person comes, that's great, one person. Maybe I'll meet people on the train. And the worst case scenario is I'll just be on the train and I'll start like recording some kind of a product set on how to connect with the train traveling through the window behind me or something really cool like that. I'll get something out of it no matter what. I just would love to get at least a handful of people to go with me.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
But I did have a question for you. I didn't know if I didn't hear on the show yesterday if you had ever had a chance to ask Dee what she thought about the intent that we did the week before in relation to her campaign. Did she feel at all as if any of it was divined by that or impacted by that, or was that just a little too much move for her?
She was, no, not at all. She was actually so emotional when I told her that that's what we did. She was so touched by it. And then because it was record time. It was less than a week, I think, 6 days or something.
Yeah.
And she just said, well, thank you to everyone because it worked. But when I told her that's what we did, she got all teary. I said, we spent an hour and a half talking about other stuff completely. And then when it came to picking what we were going to do, it was like unanimous. I said, it wasn't my idea, Dee, so like someone else came up with it. Yes, she was very grateful. And
good.
I'm sure I will, once she gets here. Tickets are booked, by the way, but I'm not giving dates because I'm not giving dates. Tickets are booked, and I will drag her on the first Collective Imagination show so she can thank everybody personally, and which she would love to do. So the theme, I guess you could say, for what I wanted to talk about today is compassion, and this came out of my meeting with Jed and my amazing, awesome conversation I had with Jed that went for hours. There's been a lot of, whether it's ancient prophecy or recent channeling or, whatever, that most of the world wouldn't make it, and only a small percentage were going to make it through this shift, these changes. There was, which I think I talked about yesterday and I've talked about many times before, in my experience, a split in the collective back in 2011. And it wasn't an even split, a 50-50 split. It was actually more like, say, 20 to 30% shifted into this positive timeline. And the rest was still over here in this negative timeline. But since then, it's felt like there's been little pockets jump over. There's these shifts that happen, and there's this migration of pockets of people. That's been my feeling about it, or my perspective. Now, according to Jed's experience, when was it? 2012, I think. humanity as a whole, or maybe those who are sitting over here in the positive, I don't know, kind of made a choice out of compassion for each other that no one got left behind. That we didn't want to do this little group over here didn't want to do this alone. We wanted to bring everybody with us. That choice impacted everything. It gave us more time. It messed with timelines and schedules, both the planets and theirs. And this whole sort of window of time became available. And we're on track for the majority. There will be those who have made a, spirit choice, soul choice to go and do all this bullshit again. Totally their choice. I think most of the people in this room right now would be go, not me, I'm done. It's one of our unique, powerful, incredibly powerful traits. What we've been sold as human nature, God, I've talked about this before too, deja vu again, is absolutely bogus. It's human nature to go to war. It's human nature to compete. It's human nature to rape, pillage, steal. It's bullshit. It's human nature, in my opinion, to help your fellow man, to have compassion, to contribute. These are the things that I think make us unique. That's human nature. And to be spontaneous. This was the other thing. Spontaneity and compassion, I think, are our trademarks. And our saving grace, because it's the two things that are not understood or able to be anticipated or manipulated. The more spontaneous we are and the more compassion we have for each other and ourselves, I think the more powerful we are. I've seen being consciously spontaneous work miracles. And what I mean by that is when you totally, that whole be in the moment thing, when you totally get into that moment and you only act from, I'll use a Heather phrase, what illuminates. All right. So it can be, walking down the street and just seeing a face, seeing a stranger, but that reminds you of somebody. Or then walking up to them and saying hi. And because there's something going on, because you remind me, you drew my attention, you illuminated whatever your words you want to use. To the choices that we make in any moment, going from that inner impulse of what illuminates and keeping it spontaneous, like having a goal, I want to achieve this, that's the end goal. But how I get from here to here, or how I do that, I'm going to make up in every moment through spontaneous choice, through following the energetic trail, through what illuminates, all that language. It works miracles. Not only do you get there in the most fun way possible, sometimes in ways you couldn't have imagined, it works out so much better as well than when you micromanage the path. Yeah. And just faith and knowing and trust in yourself that that's my goal, so that's what's going to get achieved, no problem. Now let's make it fun. That's when you're in that space, that's when I feel the most alive and vibrant and on my own path. And guided by spirit. The thing I would add to that since HK is making it a collaboration between myself and spirit. It's like I'm here to facilitate my spirit's adventure. And but how can I put this? It's not like I'm simply a tool for spirit, because it is a true collaboration. So there's also the things that I want, need, and desire, and I can give those to spirit, and spirit just makes it happen. Sorry, I just got distracted by someone showing me something on Facebook. So firstly, what do you think about all that little red?
I'm so totally on the same page.
And I want to ask those in the audience, how often do you consciously put yourself in that space and live like that? I mean, are you doing it every day? Is that just the norm for you now? You've never done it before, or you have to remind yourself to be like that?
And while you're reading those, I can tell you that for me, I actually find myself doing it every day, and I'm doing it consciously. I actually find myself stopping sometimes and taking note at that moment, literally stopping and making myself become the observer and just watching and being aware, as opposed to, participating in something that's just plain. I stop and I create it the way that I want it to be.
Okay, everything from always to not enough. And it is easy to get knocked out of it. I agree. Sure. At first, anyway, until you really do make it second nature. And have I lost you, Barbara? No, you look like you're still there. You just turned your camera off. Okay. And now you're muted.
I said, I did it to myself. I dropped something and I didn't want to pop down, pop back up. So I went.
Okay. So I thought maybe today, because one of the things I think we have, one of our biggest issues is self-worth and self-compassion. We can have compassion for everybody and everything except ourselves. So I thought maybe we could start by getting into that space of compassion for the planet, animals, children, other people, and work our way up to feeling compassion for ourselves, and just really pump out compassion for everybody and everything. But we've got to include ourselves in this, because if there is such a thing as human nature and the human condition, I think it's a lack of self-worth that is, and that probably just stems from this illusion of isolation, disconnection. The word original sin just popped in. It's like the original sin is the belief that we have sinned in the first place, or that we've been, the fall of man, somehow we're errant little children who are being punished, all that rubbish that's been put into our psyches and the collective consciousness for forever. Buying into that is probably what I would call the original sin. But it's there. It's really there. I mean, even for those of us like myself who did not grow up with religion, who did not, I got thrown out of Sunday school. They wouldn't have borrowed me. Or at scripture class in school, asking too many questions. Then even for someone like me, it's still there. It's in the ethos. It's in the language. It's in everything. You can't avoid it. So I think, yeah, I think we need compassion. I think it'd be really good to go there and experience it for ourselves and allow ourselves, maybe by allowing ourselves to feel the compassion that we have for each other. Like if you can allow yourself to feel the compassion that I have for you, then maybe you can turn that into compassion for self. What is it? How does that sound? And asking the chat room too.
Well, I mean, it sounds fine. I'm wondering if people feel like they can put it in practical place.
Meaning what? Exactly.
Trying to be compassionate for yourself isn't that easy. So, I mean, they can say that they're going to do it, and it's like when people wanted to manifest something, and let's say that they want to lose a bunch of weight, and so they go, I am thin, I am thin, I am thin. And the whole time they're thinking, but I'm fat, I'm really fat, God damn it, I'm fat. So, they can say whatever with as much enthusiasm on the outside, but all that really matters is what's going on the inside. So maybe if we can give them something to help them feel good about themselves, or to find that road to compassion for themselves, because I don't think for many people it's that easy.
No, I don't think it is either, and that's why I thought we'd work our way up to it, like starting with the planet and just working your way up. Maybe by the time you're filled with this sense of compassion, then you can accept some of it. But am I frozen?
Nope, you're there.
We've got the collective pain body from Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, exactly. Can I have the charge, please? You charge now? It sounds wonderful, says Sheila. Okay. Does anyone have anything to add to this? Like how to get to that space, or suggestions on how to accept and really feel compassion? It's probably forgiveness as well needs to be put in there, really.
I would say it's probably unique for everyone. There may be some common tools that people can do, but I'll bet it's really unique for everyone. There's something that I found that worked for me, and as crazy as this sounds, is this place that I was staying had fruit trees, and the fruit was it's the juiciest fruit, I swear to God, that I've ever eaten in my whole life, honestly. Not just because it was growing there and I picked it and I was eating it, and that I want to talk about how great it was. It really was. And so when I was eating it, it was almost like because it was so organic and fresh and came straight from the vine into my body, and I was just thinking, I'm so lucky that I got this piece of fruit. And then I thought, I'm so lucky that the tree decided to bear this fruit that's this juicy. And then I thought, I'm so lucky that the tree decided to bear this fruit that's so juicy just for me to pick and to have. And then all of a sudden I felt like, wow, this was a gift for me. This was like nature giving this amazing gift just for me, because nobody else lives here and is going to pick that piece of fruit. And anybody else who's going to pick that piece of fruit is going to pick it after it's, rotten. So, it's just me. It's all for me. And it felt really easy to have compassion and feel good about myself when I was using something a little more abstract to direct to feel that could have compassion for me. An inanimate object like a tree has great compassion for me because it made this amazing piece of fruit, and I didn't even have to ask it. It just wanted to make this just for me, and it feels really good. And then all of a sudden you feel it. Once you feel it, then it's just a matter of holding on to it, and you can hold on to it anyway. It doesn't even have to be compassion anymore. It's just you feel where it is. You can take yourself to that spot, just like you can think of your big toe, and all of a sudden, your attention is right there. You can do the same thing with that feeling. And then just now that you've identified that feeling, how do you hang on to it? And I'd love for people to tell us, how do they hang on to the feeling once they get it? Because that's key, and that's, I think, different for everyone.
Just as I said, forgiveness, it was added to the chat room. It was kind of synchronistic because I think it was right. Well, here's one, because most of these people, I believe, well, some may not, but most, I would say, who are in the chat room right now also participate in, say, the Unfuckers room and some of these calls, these fireside chats that go on every night. And everybody raves about everybody else. Right? Everybody loves everybody else and thinks everybody else is awesome. So if you're in that group, if you're amongst that group, you deserve to be there. You're one of those awesome people. You're one of those loving, supportive people. And just, just tune into the love and the gratitude and everything you have for all of those people who participate. Know that they will feel that for you too. You deserve to be there.
That's excellent.
If you deserve to be there.
Yeah, you are there.
And
yeah, I'm here. So with all these cool people, I'm here. I deserve to be here. So I'm cool too.
That's it.
Wow, look how cool I am.
Exactly. Look at the people I'm surrounded
by. That's a good one. That's a really good one, Lisa.
Well, that's how I know I'm doing okay. Have a look at the people around me.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you spend time around people. I spend time around fruit trees.
Possible to focus on how does compassion feel for each one of us. Yeah. Trying to see how we can do that. So not to preempt you guys, just allow everybody to feel into what it feels like for each one. And Teresa was just saying to her sister tonight, I feel it is key to our true evolution, compassion, learning how to be in the heart space without enabling, somehow omitting, love to self and others. Trust of love to self and others, I think it's what it's meant to be. Apparently I'm a robot right now. So I do apologize for whatever audio issues are going on. It all sounds fine to Barbara, so I don't know why it doesn't sound fine to you guys, because we're all in the same room.
Well, every once in a while you go a little robotic, but I have much compassion for it.
Oh, you're funny.
Because you're in the room with the cool kids, so you're cool, so that means that the robot sound must be cool.
Oh, you're funny. Okay, was there anything anybody else wanted to bring up today? Because for me, yeah, compassion and forgiveness of self and each other. It's not possible. Everything's turned up as loud as it can be. Any advice? Elaborate, please, Teresa.
Use a condom.
A behavior balance. Not sure what you mean, darling.
I need a behavior balance. Ow!
Oop. Somebody that was.
Oof.
What's going on? That's interesting because it says Jed's talking and yet his microphone's muted.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what he sounds like at the vibration, at the frequency he vibrates at.
Well, actually, Jed, seeing as you were the trigger for this, did you want to come out and share? You can unmute yourself. Well, we might have to prepare for that. Hang on. Jed, you're unmuted, but there's some serious noise coming out of your microphone. Okay. He's muted himself again. I don't know what that's all about. I'd love it if you did. Or anybody else who wants to come out who was part of that fireside chat last night after we finished the One People show and perhaps share anything that may be relevant to what we've been talking about, that would be great too. Because I'm, what, 10 and a half hours? You guys must have gone into some great places. So anybody in a position to come out and share with us? You can just unmute yourself or put your hand up. Whatever you like. Joseph, you're unmuted.
Yeah, okay. I was going to put my video on, but you don't need it. I'll just do my audio then. I was just remembering from last night the incredible energy on that campfire chat that just went on. And Gedster, what you were doing was just bringing out all this wonderful information, and it was just making so much sense. And it was just a continuation from the One People Roundtable into that. And it's like there was a lot of energy exchanged among all of us.
Beautiful.
That's what I feel.
Excellent. And Sheila, you are unmuted as well, Don.
Thank you, Lisa. Can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, unbelievable to say the least. And the amount of synchronicities, connections, dreams that we all realized that each of us, a lot of us had that kind of were triggered in our memories from what Jed had to say was just that for me is what kept us going as long as we did. And I actually left earlier than some others that stayed later because there were a lot of tears. It was just I'm still riding high from the buzzing today.
There were visitors.
Does anything stand out in terms of synchronicities, like shared visions?
Yes, there were also some visions that took place, and actually, I don't know if she is here, and if she'd like to speak about it, that's up to her. Willow did share some things with us that took place last night while we were all in the room together. That just still, right now, my body is still vibrating very high from all of that.
That was unbelievable. It was so incredible.
I can't tell you guys. It was like, we've had some really good energy in the campfire chat, and because we make it a sacred space, but last night just jumped it right up to another level. Yes, profoundly otherworldly, my sister just put up there, and that is absolutely the way it felt.
Well, Willow is in the room, so I'll leave it up to her if she'd like to unmute and come out and share. Now, for those who either don't know how to get to these chats, or, there might be people who are listening to these archives who have yet to speak out, who have yet to connect with anybody. They're not quietly listening in the background. That happens a lot. And for those of you who do that, the people who listen are really regular audience for the two shows. I've really created quite the online community with each other, and it really is quite a beautiful space. If you'd like to wet your toe in that virtual community, go to Facebook and join the Unfuckers group, and you can tell D named that, can't you? And that's probably where the links are posted, I would imagine, Sheila.
Yes, that is. And right now, the Thursday night campfire chats, those are open for anyone in the UU page. And if it gets too big, of course, we will probably keep a sacred place where because there is like a core of us, as you noticed, Lisa, that, you know, a safe place with folks that we have built this relationship with. But Thursdays, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we have a permanent meeting ID that we use. And I mean, I don't mind giving that out because it's posted on the UU page. If you'd like for me to do that, that's up to you.
Well, it's up to you if you want to do that way.
Okay, well, it's 960-905-5310.
So if you go to Zoom, you click on join meeting and you put that code in on Thursday nights US time.
Yes, it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
On Thursday nights.
Or any time thereafter, apparently, because if you guys could be 4 hours late and you'll still be there. So
that's right. I mean, you know, it's just they can come in at any time after that, because sometimes they often do go to, you know, 3, 4. The longest one we've had so far was 11 hours.
It just amazes me.
Well, there's so much to talk about, because it's like, you know, you finally get around folks that understand what you're talking about and what you want to share, and they don't think you're crazy, and anything and any kind of opinion can be you know, put out there, and You're not attacked for it. There, you know, sometimes we might have a difference where, you know, I don't think the same way you do, but that's okay. And that's what I really feel like for us, for me personally, what that has been the most refreshing thing about this entire situation here is that adults can come together, speak to each other out of respect, and if you don't agree, that's okay, and it being okay, and not being an issue. And this has been the most wonderful thing I have ever had in my life, to be honest. And I think that's why it has gone on for hours and hours and hours at a time.
Well, we've even had people who have, you know, spent years in and out of intentional communities looking for that very connection that you guys are finding on Zoom, you know, by coming together. It's virtually, it's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And it is just the most awesome thing, because, you know, yeah, we're spread out all over the world.
And as you know, that was one of the driving forces of the Opal tour, was to create those spaces. And we had people come who were so isolated and alone in their own lives. You know, marriages have broken down because of one woke up and one didn't, you know, relationships, families.
Right. Well, I'd like for you to know, I would like for you and Dani to know, and I'll state it right here, right out in the open, that it is because of you two that this entire thing has taken place. I would never have found out about Zoom. I would never have had the very first chat that you facilitated on your Zoom. And it was that second one that I had on my Zoom that led to this. So none of that would ever have happened if it had not been for the two of you. So I want to thank you very, very much for that, because that's a big deal.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier and say, look how awesome you are that you have brought all that in. I just played a part in facilitating it for you.
Well, thank you very much for saying so, but I just feel, okay, I'm going to use a page out of Barbara's book and say, how lucky am I? Because I truly feel that this has been a gift for me. And that is truly the way I feel about it.
And I'm sure you're going to find that everybody who participates feels that you are a gift for them. So that's the thing. We're all giving gifts to each other right now. It's awesome. And that's where the magic happens. You know, when we connect. When we can.
Where the magic happens. Oh, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah. That was the tagline for Collective Imagination when it first started. The magic happens.
It still is.
It still happens. I love it. Um, no. What was I going to say? I forgot. I got just interrupted. But Willow, are you up to sharing anything from last night, or are you still processing? You can just write it in the chat room. If you're not, let us know. Barb has the magic. She sure does. I'm excited about your astrology friend saying that some of you may be coming to Australia. I mean, that's just too funny.
Yep, and she's been spot on. Even last year for July, I think it was July, she said, listen, I hate to tell you, and I watched it the day before, like the last day of June. I hate to tell you, don't shoot the messenger, but for many of you, someone close to you in your family is going to die. And I'm like, holy shit. And Miles, our cat of 18 years, had just died. Just that, like the day before that day. It was like, wow. I mean, so she's spot on even with, you know, with stuff like that.
Just to backtrack a little bit to what I said earlier about relationships and stuff, you've got a comment here. I know what you're saying, Lisa, because I had to make a choice to walk away from 30 years of marriage to the mother of my children to follow my heart and live in community. And that is why I'm going to regenerate the spirit of the original Opal tour and pick up where it left off with the Overland tour starting at the spring equinox. Well, you're not alone, Joseph, as you know. They've done that.
I love that everybody's doing. I love that everyone's finding their own way to do what community, you know, to express community their way.
Shirley, you're unmuted, Dawn.
Well, I saw that Willow is still recovering from last night, and I asked her if she would mind if I shared with the group what took place, because it really was very special. And please forgive me if I get teary-eyed, because it's still very, very fresh for me. The energy really has not died down. So there was at one point that Jed talked to us about the white buffalo. And there was a point last week in one of our chats where Willow had mentioned a white buffalo medicine woman coming and sharing the peace pipe with all of us around a campfire. And so I had recalled that, and Willow then also told us about her white buffalo spirit painting that she has and has had done, and how it's a representation of the birth of the new earth. And that just touched me very deeply. And there was a point when we were talking about the indigenous peoples, and Willow had some Aboriginal elders, women, sitting around a campfire who had come to her in celebration of what we were doing. And I think these are some very strong confirmations that we're on the right path here with all of what we're doing. It was just so profound. It had all of us in tears. It's just the connections, the energy that was felt was just, as I said, I can't even talk about it without feeling that energy all over again.
You can feel it from you.
I'm sorry, say that again, Lisa.
I said we can feel it from you. Yeah.
Well, I'll just put it out there right now. We are meeting again tonight because it has to go somewhere. I can't have this all by myself.
We need our fix. We need our fix.
My sister wanted to say something here, Lisa. That's Teresa. She's
No,
in the-
Sure.
I don't know how many people are in here right now that were in there last night, but there were these amazingly profound, silent, connected moments, as if every single solitary person in there were connected by spirit and absolutely no words for very long periods of time. I've never felt nothing like it. It was crazy profound. Crazy. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
It's something good. I know it is.
She's right. That did happen several times. You know where it's like a comfortable silence where you're just connected and you don't feel the need to fill the air with sound.
Yep, I do know.
That's it for me. I'll mute now.
Thanks, darling.
Yeah.
Very much. And I'll try one more time just before we go into trying to do our compassion collaboration. Jed, if you're able to unmute without all the distortion.
Is that all right?
Oh, perfect.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey Barbara, nice to kind of meet you sort of face to face. I put my video on if you want to see my ugly mug, but
It's not
it's up to you guys.
I assure you it's not an ugly mug.
I think I got Phyllis Stiller here. Hey, did you get some have you had some sleep? Have you got some rest? Because you've been doing a lot of driving and things, it seems like.
My arms just want to automatically go. Driving, yes. I have had a couple hours sleep, yes. I don't know, 5 or 6. Recovering. I may sleep well tonight, we'll see. I don't do a lot of that.
Oh, I hope so. I've been thinking about. I've been trying to send you a bit of energy because I'm like, yeah, you've been a pretty crazy ride. But then I think your whole life's probably like that a lot of the time.
It has been the last few years, that's for sure.
Look, I don't know what you've told or where you guys are at, and I was sort of wanted a few minutes just to have a coffee, but also to kind of just tune in. And what I'm feeling is that unless it fits and you've been talking and you really want it filled in, my feeling at the moment is more not so much to go into that whole kind of Lionsgate story thing, but I'd be speaking that more from mind or memory at the moment, and I have the feeling or the message to sort of hold back on that and maybe save it more for round table. So what I felt to say was just, that I've been meaning to get in the campfire chat for weeks and finally did yesterday, and that was just amazing. That was such beautiful sharing from people in there, and I wanted to say, is Sheila actually? Oh, is it Sheila? Is that the same Sheila? There was a woman on yesterday in the campfire, and she was very emotional, and she talked about the 13 grandmothers, and I felt like, for whatever reason, just because I happened to tune into it, anybody could. I had my sort of vision download messages about the whole Lionsgate thing, but as I said yesterday in Campfire Chat, well, that's just me as one person for some reason to have the focus and to pass that message on and share that. But we all have our part and we all have our messages. And I last night when I went to bed after being in the fireside chat, I was thinking about Sheila a lot, and I felt that she was very emotional and very hard for her to share something. She'd been very alone for a few years, and I had the sense that what she had to share was important. And I don't know if she's on, but I'm not trying to change the whole track. But that's what came to me again now was.
I think it's Willow that you're referring to. And
no, it wasn't.
No, not
Sheila's saying that was Katie.
Oh, Katie.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Anyway, whether she's on now or not, my point is, I guess, about that we all, I've been a bit of a hermit, and I tend to be in my hidey hole, and a lot of us have been through a lot of alone time or hermit time, and a lot of clearing and purging and doing a lot for the collective. But now it is really time for those that feel called to, I feel, to step forward. You know, we all have something to share. Even if, like me, you might think, well, you know, what knowledge do I have? What do I have to share, you know, more than anyone else? Like, but what everybody has in them to share is just their being, is just themselves. And it's by connecting and sharing with one another that we activate our soul memories and our collective human history. That's disclosure, and that's really more what I wanted to say or felt to say today. So, you know, to anybody that has shared and does share, thank you, and anybody that feels to, don't let that old programming of lack of self-worth or lack of trust, or that somehow you know less or are less important than anybody else. I always say we're all special, or none of us are. So that's all I really felt like sharing at the moment.
Thank you. And you know what really brought that home for me many years ago? About everybody has something to contribute. Everybody is a puzzle piece. And it takes everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Was when I studied all the Mayan cosmology and the Mayan signatures, and, you know, got right into that and worked with and connected with groups of people who knew that stuff inside and out. And how when you got together as a group, there was always one person who was always on top of the ball, who would know everybody's signatures, galactic signatures, as the Mayans call it, which is like your star. And as we came together, you know, you might be 4 of you sitting around having a chat, and he would, or this one person, because there was always one in a group, would instantly do the energy for that group, taking everybody's signatures into consideration, and then create it, and then figure out what the energy was for that moment with those 4 people involved. And then someone else might turn up and it would change. We'd have to do a new one. And whatever it was figured out, it was like, that was the key, that was the sign for where to put our energy while we were together. And if you really wanted to kind of micromanage it, it would even get like, if a person got up to go and make lunch in the kitchen,
yep,
it would change for that moment while they were gone. But when you work with those signatures, it's really kind of amazing what happens, and how when you allow the energy, the guiding principle to guide your actions and your intents in each moment, magic happens again. And it's like when you live with that, it's like, this is the energy of your day. And when you're in community, it's like the people with this signature, this is them to be the feeders. So they'd spend the day in the kitchen cooking for everybody and feeding everybody. And it wouldn't feel like a chore, because it would be totally in alignment with your energy on that day. And, or it might be, it was your job to clean, it was your job to go out into the garden today, it was your job to go and do the errands, it was whatever was happening. But it would feel like, yeah, cool, that's exactly what I feel like doing today.
Yeah,
you know,
that makes perfect sense.
But it was learning about that really brought home to me how each of us are important, each of us have a place, each of us connect and play a role in the collective, and no one is insignificant, because you can't have someone walk into a group and not affect, you know, the energy of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you.
And what you were saying about we're doing, that's a sort of, I have this saying, it's a circle, being comes from doing, comes from being, comes from doing. And it's actually, when they're synonymous, being and doing is the one. That's the old doing, it's doing or being, it's the universe moving through you. It's just in harmony with the universe. And to me, it's like everybody has their signature, everybody has their soul song. And everybody's soul song is really like one note in the whole song or symphony of the universe. And when we come together, it's like just each finger on a fret, on a string on a guitar, it makes a chord. And when people are all coming from heart-centered, it's always harmonious. It's always beautiful music. And you know, we individually has different roles, but we have different roles in every moment. So the energy might, in a circle, it might move to this person to talk. And, you know, the Native Americans used to use a talking stick, but if you're in tune fully, really, you don't need it, because the energy moves to this person to speak, and then it moves, and while others hold the space and of listening, and it moves to another to speak. And there's those that are just holding the space. They might not speak at all, but if you're in tune, and often you might be, oh, I really want to say this, I really want to say this. But if you're in the space of listening, often someone else will say that, and you don't need to say it. It's the universe that it expressed.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, or you feel the energy. Everybody picks up on it. Everybody's attention just goes to you. And it's like, oh, my turn. The Celestine Prophecy pointed that out and explained that very, very well.
Yeah, I've forgotten, because I've read them, but I think I read them all, but many years ago. So I actually forget a lot of, you know, specific things in there. But I think there's a lot of truth in those books. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Excuse me. Oh yeah. I think I must have felt that coming, Barbara. So I need to do a quick bathroom break before we go into this, so I can focus. So talk amongst yourselves for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back.
No worries.
Okay, so let's do a little dance. Dun, 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 dun. Well, let me actually just throw it back to you guys for a second, especially those who are already unmuted. Any other gems from yesterday during that conversation that you wanted to share?
For me, I think I put in chat that I'm not trying to push her forward. I did feel that Sheila was sharing something, and I was really interested to hear more on. Sorry, not Sheila. It's actually Katie. Sorry, that on the 13 grandmothers. But I'm not putting her on the spot. That's up to her if she feels to. But that I mean, there was a lot of good things, but that was something that I had a strong feeling to. Just to say to her, even if she doesn't speak now, but just to say to her that Katie, I heard you. Yeah, Shimalai, that's right. I heard you, Katie. I heard you, and I heard where you're coming from, and I'm interested to hear more, if and when, whatever time you feel to do that. So I just really felt to say that if you're wanting validation for what it's worth, my 2 cents worth from me, I heard you.
Nice, thank you. I'm just wondering if, because my audio may or may not be great for everybody, whether someone else should lead today's. I don't want to call it.
I'm not real. I don't think I'd be very good at it.
I think you.
Your audio's been fine for me. Sorry,
okay.
It's been fine for me. It was just a tiny bit robotic for a second or two, but otherwise it's been fine for me.
Okay. All right. Just catching up on the chat room. All right. I'll just pull a couple of things together here so we can do this.
Oh, sorry. I'll just interject. Yes, and the song that that Katie shared was beautiful. So if somebody wants to put the link in again, I highly recommend listening to that, because yeah, there was really beautiful song and energy in that too. So I'll shut up now.
Thanks, Jed. No, that's great. All right, so hopefully you guys can see just the logo on screen. Jed, people are asking if you would mind leading.
Leading what?
Well, I don't know how you feel about it, but I did tell you that thanks to you, you prompted the wanting to do a collective intent on compassion.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I'm willing. I just have to tune in and see what comes. So yeah.
The only guide I sort of had, or idea I had, was that compassion for self seems to be the big obstacle. I thought about, starting with compassion for the planet, and then animals, and other beings, and just working ourselves up to a point where we could totally feel compassion for ourselves as well, and perhaps forgiveness. But if you've got a different take on that, I'm more than
No, that's fine. I'm just no, that's good. I remember now what you mentioned that. I'm just trying to tune in. All right, let me just you want to do it now?
when you're ready. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me just see what comes. All right. I'll start with this. This is my own little process I do normally in the morning, and then I'll see what comes from there. So you don't have to repeat, say this aloud if you want or not, just either way, whatever works or feels right for you. So I call upon, and first and foremost, I call it dropping my tail. I drop my cord into the core, the crystal core of the earth, Mother Earth. And I call upon the energies of the Earth Mother. I call them forth into my entire being and give thanks. I call upon the energies of the Sky Father and call them forth into my entire being with thanks. I call upon the four winds and the four directions, and where they all meet in my heart center to create the spark of the divine, of the Christ consciousness of my own I am presence. Make me an empty reed from which the pith of self has been blown, so that Great Spirit can come through and I be aligned with His will, with Source. May that energy place me in a sphere of love, light, protection, truth, courage, harmony, justice, beauty, forgiveness, trust, and peace. From that sphere of protection and light, I call forth to the highest of the high, who wish to come through to help heal, to guide, protect, to counsel, or to teach, that they are welcome to do so if they serve in the name of the Christ consciousness and serve my highest purpose and the highest good for all mother sentient beings in respect of my sovereignty and the sovereignty of all mother beings. Homa Takuyo-san, for all of my relations. May I dedicate the virtues of myself and others towards the great enlightenment, so that the great awakening may occur and all mother sentient beings may achieve the peace and bliss of knowing their true nature as soon as possible. And just hold that space for a while. Feel those energies flow. And honor yourselves. Honor the divinity that you are. It is within our humanity that we find our divinity, and within our divinity that we find our humanity. They are one and the same. Know that you are worthy. You are perfect as you are. You have always been perfect and always will be, as are all others. Step into your truth. Step into yourself, your true nature, and ask where you need it, that you be guided and led always towards your higher purpose, and be given the courage, the understanding, and the compassion to always find love in another's eyes before you find hatred. To replace fear with that love. To know that any that are in fear or anger are just out of alignment with the source of them true selves. Will you reflect back that back to them? Or will you project and reflect to them their own true nature so that they may come back into alignment and find that quicker in themselves? Be not too quick to judge. We don't know. We don't know our own stories fully yet. We have all been through things. We've all done things. You don't know what another person is going through and what they have walked through. And if you look at it from the highest place, what greater gift can you give to somebody? What does anybody most need? And those particularly who are out of alignment, but your compassion, but your recognition, to simply look in another being's eyes, and even not with words, just with your heart, your energy, you say, I see you. I feel you. I know your pain, but I know your beauty. Because I have been there. I am you. And to finish, I would just like to feel into the gratitude just for life, for being here, and the gift of the magic and the dance and the wonder of being a human being walking upon this earth. I know at this time it's in many ways a very difficult journey. But if you look for it, you will see that it is actually all divine. You have chosen this because you can do it and are doing it. And it is a great gift. Again, aho matakuyo-san, all of my relations. Thank you. Ganeho.
Thank you.
I hope that was okay. Off the bat, but I don't know what exactly you had in mind, but that's what came. So there we go. Thank you.
I'll take it.
We've got in the chat room, we've got wonderful good, amazing, wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, thank you. What's all that stuff? All the good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I might just mute out now and let you guys continue, and or whoever else wants to share. But yeah, thank you for allowing the space, and thank you to you wonderful ladies for setting up this platform. And I watch all your shows. I said to Lisa, there's not that many shows I watch, but Collective Imagination and Roundtable, of course, and Get Lit as well. I really love Get Lit. So they're ones that I you know, I tend to miss them live, but I nearly always wait and find the recordings and watch them as soon as they're up. So thank you, and thank you to all participate and listen. Yep, I'll bow out now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking of archives, I've got some work to do to catch up. And I know that. I'm on it. Okay.
I know. do.
I need more coffee now to wake up again. Wow, that was pretty cool. Thank you, Jed.
Yeah, that makes me feel good.
I don't know what to, I've gone completely blank. I have no idea what to say now. We might have to call it short. Yes, Chewy.
But isn't that kind of how you feel? It's like you open your mouth and like nothing really normal comes out.
Oh, funny. Oh, too funny. Yeah, now I don't know where I'm going. Oh, I can't do this anymore now. All right, no. I'm gone. That's it. Okay, we're gonna end this a little bit early. This is why we don't do them until right at the very end. Unless somebody else is coherent and can actually has something that they want to add, because I'm not. Everything just goes poof. Yeah, like my brain. Yes, Sheila, by all means, bring yourself. Oh, I'm there you go, Doc.
I just wanted to say that we are going to open up the campfire chat tonight, and anyone and everyone's invited to join us. That's all I wanted to say.
And what's the number again?
960-905-5310.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, ladies, and thank you, Jen.
Thank you to everybody, whether you're listening right now, whether you're playing in the chat room, whether you've come out and spoken and shared with us, or whether you're listening to the archive, wherever you are. Thank you for playing. This is quite a ride. And I don't know, the last few years in particular, say since 2012, I felt like that climb on the roller coaster. And it was starting to... Exactly. I feel like getting over the crest. And yeah, I reckon we're going to be like this all year. That's kind of where it feels like that. Like we're on this precipice of I don't know, something huge. Something huge.
Yeah, but so whatever it is, it makes me feel happy.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's almost like, oh, okay. Did you hear yesterday? We were talking, hang on, brain, come on. When Jeb was explaining the creating timelines to travel upon, and Dee went, oh, there's an explanation for the Mandela effect.
No, I must have like looked away that second, because I was there the whole time and I don't remember that. Oh, do tell.
Okay, so Jed was explaining, this is okay, those tones that we were hearing, and I said one's a call out and another one's a response. So there are beings coming. This is not about a savior moon or any of that stuff though. Now, in order to not be tracked, I'm putting this in the simplest, I'm bastardizing it, but anyway, in order to stay kind of elusive and not be able to be tracked, they are literally creating their own timelines to travel upon. Right? And Jed said that, Dee went, oh, Mandela effect. And then we all kind of went, oh. Because if they are, because there was at one point when I was talking to Jed at his place, he talked about like kind of slipping between timelines. And then later in the conversation, he said creating their own to travel upon. So you instantly get this message of like two-lane highway being, you know, timelines, and then there's this one in the middle that's being created, and it's probably bouncing, touching the sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is where we get
Mandela
moments. And it just feels right.
It does feel right.
And that to keep an eye out on these Mandela effects and see, it's like maybe the bigger they are or the more profound they are, it's close. Whatever's coming is getting closer and closer and closer. Or maybe it's a series. You know how like we go through these spurts where suddenly we're over the course of a week we notice 20 different Mandela effects, and then there's 2 weeks go by and you don't notice anything. So maybe it's that's when it's touching. But there are us that are coming. Yes, this is not about being saved by something external. But just keep an eye on that and just to be mindful of Mandelas. And I know people are experiencing them just in their own personal life with personal stuff, which I think is as important, maybe even more so, I don't know, than what we're noticing collectively on the world stage. My personal life seems to be jumping lines. Yeah, you have these days where it's like, this is not my reality. There's something a little bit off, different, whatever. And then the next day you go,
yeah, who are these people?
yeah. So, yeah, Mandela effect. Just stay mindful, alert, whatever. Because this may well be an explanation for it. That's all I wanted to say. But I thought it was cool. And as soon as it came out of her mouth, it was like, oh, there's something there or not. Okay, thank you, everyone. Today has been really quite extraordinary. Unexpected, spontaneous, which is awesome. I like the fact that somebody else jumped in at the last minute to
Yeah, me too.
kind of meditation, but it was a nice bit of spontaneity. So thank you. I will endeavour to get these archives up as quickly as possible. I've got 3 or 4 to do now. And I will talk to you all next week, if not earlier. So bye for now. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your chat. Enjoy your campfire chat. And I will join if I can, actually. So bye for now.
Bye. Shake your.
Thank you, everyone.